The wind here doesn't shout. It sings, soft as breath on skin. It rises off a coast not built for ease, but for awe, jagged, pine-wrapped, tide-washed. A place where morning doesn't break. It seeps in slow gold light, in salt-heavy fog, in loons calling across mirror-black water. The bones of old schooners sleep in harbors below cliffs of granite. Rusted rail lines vanish into forest. Lighthouses blink like ancient eyes, keeping vigil not just over sea, but memory. There's something in Maine that resists the ticking clock, a stillness that doesn't ask to be found, but waits to be felt. The land is not loud with story, but it holds one in every tree ring, every titapool, every weather-beaten shingle. It's not here to dazzle. It's here to endure, to whisper, to remember. And now you've come. You are the traveler now. Welcome to Maine. Here, the coastline stretches like a breath held long and slow, over 3,000 miles of jagged promise. Each inlet, an island, a note in the state's quiet song. Acadia, Portland, Camden, names that rise like mist from the sea, all leading back to the same truth. Maine is not just a place. It's a presence. There's a silence here that speaks. In 1947, that silence broke in flames. They called it the year Maine burned. Fires tore through Bar Harbor and down the coast. Forests turned to ash. Mansions crumbled. The inferno swept so fast. Some fled barefoot down the mountains, chased by smoke. But in the ashes, the people of Maine rebuilt, not with grand gestures, but with grit, with hands weathered by tide and timber. If you listen closely, some say you can still hear the breath of those fires in the way the wind shifts through the spruce. When you travel through Maine, time stretches. Don't rush. Let the fog slow you. Let the towns, with names like hope, liberty, and friendship, invite you to pause. It's a place made for second looks, for early dawns and firefly nights. You won't need much here, only good shoes, a reverent heart, and time to lose track of. Ask before you take photos of the people. Respect the tides. They're stronger than they seem. In winter, roads vanish beneath snow that silences even your thoughts. Summers bring black flies and blueberry fields, laughter by the lake, and boat hulls that knock gently against wooden docks. Locals won't tell you the best spot to go, but they might point, nod, offer a name you'll have to ask directions for twice. That's the way it is here. The treasure's not in the telling, it's in the finding. So let your journey be slow. Let it be quiet. Let it be yours. Maine does not shout to be noticed. It waits to be heard. And if you listen, truly listen, you may never leave it behind. The granite here remembers the sea. On Mount Desert Island, the cliffs rise in silence, holding the memory of tides older than language. Acadia is carved not by conquest, but by patience, sculpted by glaciers, softened by fog, and sung to sleep by gulls wheeling through pine-salted air. At sunrise, Cadillac Mountain opens its eyes before the rest of America, bathed in a light so pure it hushes everything inside you. The wind through the trees carries a scent of moss, salt, and old fire. Along Ocean Path, The rocks were scars of storm and sun, each one a hymn in stone. At Jordan Pond, the water is so still it reflects clouds that seem too soft for this world. And Thunder Hole, where waves roar into a cave below, reminds us that beauty can bellow, not just whisper. Once, this land belonged to the Wabanaki, the people of the Dawnland. They live with the rhythm of the tides, their birch bark canoes gliding through eelgrass shallows. Even today they return, not as tourists but as keepers. Listen closely on a quiet trail, and you might feel the echo of their footsteps beside yours. Respect the trails. Carry out what you carry in. Speak low. Step lightly. The land is listening. In Acadia, even silence feels sacred. There's a hush in Camden that speaks louder than any city's roar. The harbor glitters with the slow grace of old schooners, their sails stitched like storybooks, catching the morning sun. Mountains rise behind the town, not towering, but close like watchful elders. Here, the land curves gently toward the sea, as if bowing. In autumn, the trees turn to fire, crimson and gold flickering across the hillsides of Camden Hill State Park. And from the top of Mount Batty, you can see the town stretch toward Penobscot Bay like a painting brushed in salt and nostalgia. Edna St. Vincent Millay once stood on that summit as a girl, and from it wrote, "All I could see from where I stood slashed was 3 long mountains and a wood." Her voice still lives here, in wind and word. This is a place of working boats and quiet pride. The shipwright's hammer echoes down alleyways lined with white-clapboard homes. Locals gather at the harbor to watch the windjammer fleet return, sun-glazed and creaking, as though time itself dropped anchor here. In winter, snow seals the town in stillness, wrapping the hills and harbor like a memory. The sea does not sleep, but it speaks softer than a lullaby of tide and ice. If you come, let your pace be as slow as the tides return. Say good morning to strangers. Order the chowder. Learn the rhythm of foghorns and church bells. There is no need to search for something here. Camden offers not spectacle, but presence. It is a harbor for the soul, where the mountains meet the sea, and the silence knows your name. Portland balances on the edge of land and longing. Its cobblestone streets still remember hooves and wooden wheels. Brick buildings lean into one another like old friends, weathered by wind and winter. Salt lingers on windowsills. The scent of sea and roasted coffee follows you like a companion. Here, fishermen unload crates of lobster beside microbreweries humming with laughter. Art galleries bloom between working docks. The past doesn't vanish in Portland. It evolves. It mingles with the now. On the western promenade, stand still and watch the sun settle into the Fore River. Light spills gold over rooftops. In the hush of that moment, you might feel what the first settlers felt, the pull of promise and the hush of wildness just beyond. In 1866, fire gutted the city. It began on Independence Day, a sky of fireworks and flames. Hundreds lost homes. But Portland rebuilt from brick and will. and it rose more resilient, layering story over soot. Wander the old port and listen for echoes. In doorways and alleys, in the creak of tavern floors and the laughter of strangers, something ancient lingers, something that remembers. If you visit, leave time for wandering, for tide watching at Eastern Prom, for oysters and silence, for streets that rise and fall like verses. Portland is a harbor, not just of boats, but of becoming. It waits, always, for who you are yet to be. Rockland holds its beauty close, like a lighthouse in fog. The sea is always near, tugging at docks, licking the stone breakwater that stretches nearly a mile into the bay, daring you to walk it, wind in your teeth, gulls overhead. This is a town of quiet grit, of lobster boats and art galleries, of salt and color. The Farnsworth Museum holds wise eyes, his brush catching the stillness of rooms, the ache of open fields, the hush between tides. Years ago, this was a town of limestone and shipyards. Now, it's a town of stories told in oil and canvas, in shell and sail. Come with reverence. Take the long walk to the lighthouse. Let the wind remind you of what cannot be held. In Rockland, time doesn't pass. It pauses, just long enough for you to notice. Ogunquit means beautiful place by the sea in Abenaki tongue, and it is. The sand here is soft as breath. The river curls like ribbon behind the dunes, and the light, oh, the light, it lingers like a memory on the water. Artists found it first. They came in the early 1900s, drawn by the way fog turns the coast to watercolor, and stayed to paint what words could not hold. Marginal way is a path carved gently into the cliffs, winding above waves that were the stone like prayer beads. Walk it slowly. The ocean speaks in rhythm, and each footstep becomes part of its song. At Perkins Cove, boats sway like lullabies, their ropes creaking with the tide's slow breath. This town once cradled fishermen and farmers. Now it embraces wanderers, dreamers, lovers walking hand in hand along the shore. But its soul hasn't changed. The sea is still its heart, the wind still its hymn. Ogunquit has also long been a refuge, a sanctuary for the LGBTQ+ community, where identity blooms as openly as the beach roses in summer. There is pride here, not just in rainbow flags, but in the way people smile freely, fully, without fear. Visit in spring for solitude, in summer for joy, in autumn, when the wind grows wise again and crowds retreat, the sea takes center stage once more. Let your eyes soften here. Let your shoulders drop. Order lobster at a shack by the inlet. Watch the gulls. Watch the tide. You don't come to Ogunquit to be impressed. You come to remember how to feel. There's a hush to Kennebunkport that isn't silence. It's grace. See Captain homes stand with weathered elegance, their porches wrapped in shadow and salt air. The Kennebunk River winds through the town like a forgotten thought, slow and sure, emptying softly into the Atlantic. Dock Square hums in summer, galleries, cafes, voices rising in warmth. But step away, and the stillness finds you again. A boardwalk to the Rachel Carson Wildlife Refuge brings you face to face with marsh grass and heron silence. Even the wind here seems to pause, listening. Walker's Point juts into the sea, once a summer refuge for presidents. But beyond politics and power, the view remains the same. Vast, open blue. It reminds you how small we are, how necessary that is. Come in the off-season, if you seek the real town. The fog rolls heavier. The crowds thin. Locals wave from porches. You'll find stories in the quiet. Kennebunkport doesn't try to dazzle. It just breathes. At York Beach, memory curls with the tide. The sand stretches wide, soft beneath bare feet, dotted with tide pools like mirrors holding bits of sky. Children run ahead with buckets and dreams. Waves tumble in rhythmic laughter. Salt kisses everything. There are two beaches here, long sands and short sands, each holding a different kind of hush. Long sands is for walking slow beside the sea's slow breath. Short sands is for saltwater taffy, carousel music, the smell of fried dough drifting on ocean breeze. Together, they carry the heartbeat of a New England summer. And rising above it all, steadfast and solemn, stands Nubble Light, that white lighthouse on its lonely rock, blinking day and night across the Atlantic. Since 1879, it has guarded the stretch of coast. Its beams steady through fog, through storm, through the turning of decades. Photographed 1,000 times, and still, when you see it, really see it, it feels like a secret just for you. Long ago, the Abenaki fished these waters. Later, shipwrecks dotted the shore. One of them, the Isidore, is said to haunt nearby woods. Sailors lost, never found, still whisper in the pines when the wind comes right. If you come barefoot. Buy saltwater taffy from a roadside stand. Wade out into the surf and feel how cold the Atlantic remains. Even in July, watch the sun fall behind the lighthouse and turn the sky to fire. York Beach doesn't promise escape. It offers return to childhood, to wonder, to something you forgot you needed. Old Orchard Beach glows in a different key, louder, brighter, full of motion and memory spun with sugar. The pier stretches into the Atlantic like a question. Music spilling from arcades, laughter rising over the surf. Neon buzzes above fried dough stands. The smell of salt and oil and cotton candy mingles with the ocean breeze, and you remember what it felt like to be small, wide-eyed, wild with summer. This place has always been alive. In the early 1900s, it was a Coney Island of Maine, complete with grand hotels, dance halls, and roller coasters that shuddered above the sea. Trains arrived daily from Montreal and Boston. The beach teemed with people, parasols, bathing costumes, French and English laughter. Today, the charm remains rougher, simpler, real. The wooden boards creak beneath you. The carousel still turns, and at night, fireworks bloom above the water like flowers from another world. But look past the noise, and there's something quieter here. Just before dawn, when the tide pulls soft against the shore and the sky turns lavender, Old Orchard becomes a different place. The gulls cry. A fisherman casts alone. A couple walks barefoot in the hush, and suddenly, the carnival of it all melts into something tender. Come with joy, come with openness. Know that this beach has held generations of families, of first kisses, of farewells and reunions. Respect its wear, its weathering. It is beloved because it is real. Old Orchard Beach is not subtle. It is not shy. It is summer in all its noisy, fleeting, golden light. Monhegan Island is a whisper carried on salt air, a small world where time folds like the cliffs meeting sea. No cars hum here. Instead, gulls wheel overhead and wildflowers gnawed against granite. Artists came here first, drawn to the raw light, the rocky shores, the wild beauty that can't be tamed. They stayed to paint what the island whispers: solitude, resilience, and the breath between waves. The island's fishermen still haul in cod and lobster, their boats bobbing gently in the harbor like forgotten toys. Trails wind up through spruce and blueberry bushes, leading to cliffs where the ocean crashes with a voice both fierce and familiar. Monhegan is a place to leave noise behind, to listen instead to the rocks, the sea, the sky. Here, the wild sings, and you remember what it means to be small beneath something vast. Penobscot Bay stretches like an open hand, a tangle of islands, coves, and hidden inlets whispered into existence by wind and tide. The water here is a mosaic of blues and greens, shifting with the light and the seasons. In summer, the bay hums with sailboats, their white sails bright against the deep blue. In winter, the island stands silent, wrapped in frost and fog. Long ago, the Penobscot people called this place Penobscot, meaning the place where the rocks open. They navigated these waters in birch bark canoes, knowing every current, every hidden cove. The bay was their life, a giver and a keeper of stories. On a foggy morning, you can almost see their spirits drifting with the mist, voices carried on the wind. The bay witnessed history, from early European settlers to rum runners during Prohibition, skimming the waves with secrets and shadows. The waters hold tales of shipwrecks and rescues, of storms that tested both sea and soul. Travelers here move slow. A kayak glides over glassy water. Lobstermen haul their traps with patience. Seagulls will lazily above. Respect the rhythms of the tide. Watch for seals sunning on rocky ledges. Taste the salt in the air and the sweetness of fresh-caught mussels in a seaside shack. Penobscot Bay is an invitation to pause, to listen, to let the sea's ancient songs settle deep inside. Here, every island is a chapter, every wave a whispered memory, and if you stay long enough, you might find your own story carried out on the tide. Tobey Falls is a quiet heart beating beneath the forest canopy. Here, the water tumbles over moss-covered stones, whispering secrets older than memory. The falls aren't grand, no thunderous roar, no dizzying height, but they hold a gentle power, a place for reflection. Locals speak of falls as a sanctuary, a place to come when the world feels too heavy. The mist softens edges. Ferns lean in close. The air smells of earth and rain, clean and alive. In summer, children dip toes in the cool pools. In autumn, leaves drift like embers, painting the forest floor gold and crimson. Even in winter, the falls stand framed in ice, a frozen hymn. Travelers find peace here. Walk slow, listen deeply. Let the water's voice settle inside you. Tobey Falls doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply reminds us that strength can be quiet, and beauty often comes in whispers. Rangeley breathes with a pulse of deep lakes and pine-scented air. The town rests beside a vast glassy lake, its surface reflecting sky and mountain with a stillness that feels sacred. Early morning mist coils like smoke above the water, softening the edges of trees and hills. Fishermen rise before dawn, casting lines where loons call back in haunting echoes. The lake holds secrets of old, whispered by native peoples and early settlers alike. Tales of survival and quiet beauty in harsh winters and lush summers. Rangeley is a place to slow, to watch sunlight dance on ripples, to listen for the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. In winter, the snow drapes the landscape in silence. Trails beckon skiers and snowshoers to glide through forests that seem untouched by time. If you come, bring patience. Bring reverence for the stillness. Bring a heart open to the quiet stories the land holds. Rangeley is not just a destination. It is an invitation to be present, to breathe, to remember. Vinalhaven rises from the sea like a story told in stone and salt. This island, once known as the Rockland of the Isles, is rugged and unyielding, cliffs falling sharply into cold Atlantic waters, forests thick with spruce and fir, and harbors dotted with lobstermen traps. The island breathes with a rhythm shaped by tides and toil. Vinalhaven's quarry once sent granite across the nation, building monuments and bridges that still stand as silent witnesses. Today, its shores cradle artists, fishermen, and wanderers drawn to the island's wild beauty and quiet endurance. In the summer, ferry boats arrive carrying visitors who come to hike its trails, watch bald eagles soar, or find solace in the vastness of sea and sky. Trails wind through fields of wildflowers and over rocky ledges where the ocean crashes like thunder. The islanders here speak softly of community, a bond woven by generations who have faced storms and solitude together. Hospitality is quiet but true. If invited to a kitchen table, you'll taste seafood freshly pulled from the bay and stories seasoned with salt and laughter. Vinalhaven holds a certain magic, not flashy, but profound, a reminder that nature and human spirit can live side by side, strong and steady. To visit is to step into a living poem, written in granite and waves, in wind and heart. Scarborough unfolds like a quiet conversation between land and sea, a meeting place where marsh, beach, and forest hold their own gentle rhythms. The Scarborough Marsh, the largest salt marsh in Maine, breathes with tidal pulse. Grass bends like whispers beneath the wind's soft hand. Herons stalk the shallow waters, their legs delicate as poetry. The air carries salt and earth, mingled with the cry of osprey overhead. The beaches here stretch long and low, where sand glistens like powdered sunlight and waves roll in steady, timeless. Higgins Beach and Scarborough Beach offer refuge. Mornings brush with fog, evenings painted in pastel light. This town carries a quiet strength. Once a fishing village, now a community where nature and neighbors coexist in respectful balance. There are trails that weave through pine forests, leading to hidden coves where the Atlantic's voice softens. Scarborough is not a place of grand gestures. It asks only that you slow your breath, soften your gaze, and listen to the sound of tides turning. Locals cherish their privacy, but welcome quiet curiosity. A nod, a smile, an open ear, all you need to cross the threshold of belonging here. If you visit, bring a journal, bring patience, bring the willingness to be still. Scarborough reminds us, the deepest stories are often the quietest. They unfold slowly, like the turning tide, like a breath held gently between waves. Lake Hebron lies cradled in the arms of forest and sky, a mirror held steady against the world's rush. Its waters are deep and still, reflecting pine crowns and drifting clouds with a clarity that feels like a quiet prayer. Here, the only sound might be the gentle ripple of the loon's call, echoing across the glassy surface. This lake has been a sanctuary for generations, for fishermen casting lines at dawn, for families gathering on its shores, for travelers seeking refuge in its gentle embrace. In winter, the world slips beneath snow's hush, and the lake freezes into a silent glass. Skaters glide like ghosts, and the forest stands bare, listening. In summer, wild blueberries ripple through nearby fields, and fireflies weave stories in the dusk. The land here carries stories of resilience, tales of early settlers who lived close to the earth, who learned to read the weather in cloud and wind. If you come to Lake Hebron, come softly. Sit by the water's edge and watch light scatter in waves. Let the quiet sink into your bones. Here, time slows not as a gift, but as a truth. The lake teaches us. Stillness is not empty. It is full. Fitzgerald Pond is a hidden post beneath the pine canopy, a quiet pool where time slows its relentless march. The water is dark and deep, cradled by thick forests that breathe with the scent of cedar and earth. Dragonflies dart above the surface, and the soft splash of a fish breaking the glassy calm feels like a secret shared between visitor and place. In spring, the pond mirrors the awakening sky. Clouds drifting lazily, buds unfolding in shy green whispers. In fall, the maples blaze with fire, their reflections doubling the flames. Locals cherish Fitzgerald Pond as a refuge, a place to cast a line, to launch a kayak, to sit in silence and listen. The trails that circle are soft underfoot, winding through ferns and moss, inviting slow steps and slower thoughts. This pond carries the quiet strength of places that ask nothing but respect and give everything in return. If you come, leave behind noise and haste. Let the water's stillness fill your lungs. Let the forest songs settle inside you. Here, even silence has a voice, and it speaks of peace. Phippsburg is a breath held between sea and forest, where salt marshes meet granite shores. This quiet town wears its history lightly. Once a haven for fishermen and shipbuilders, now a sanctuary for those who seek the ocean's calm and the whisper of pine. The Ram Island light stands watch, its beams slicing through fog like a steady heartbeat. Visitors come for solitude, for long walks along deserted beaches, for the taste of salt on the wind. Here, the world feels pared down to what matters most: water, stone, sky, and the quiet strength beneath it all. Higgins Beach whispers of a simpler time, where the ocean's rhythm is a steady pulse beneath the sand. This crescent of shore cradles surfers and swimmers alike, its waves rolling in with a steady grace, breaking gently against weathered rocks and sunbathers' footprints. Early morning brings a hush, fishermen casting lines on the rocky jetty, seabirds calling above the surf. Locals know this beach is a quiet refuge, a place where the sea offers both challenge and comfort. The sand shifts with the tides, carrying stories of summers past and mornings yet to come. If you come here, arrive early. Watch the sun rise pink and gold over the Atlantic. Let the salt air fill your lungs and the steady crash of waves steady your heart. Higgins Beach is a song, soft, enduring, and true. Portland Head Lighthouse stands like a sentinel carved from time itself, perched on jagged cliffs that meet the Atlantic's restless breath. Its white tower rises against the sky, weathered by salt and storm, yet steadfast, a beacon not just of light, but of endurance. Since 1791, its beam has swept across churning waves, guiding sailors safely through fog and night. The rocks below tell their own stories, of shipwrecks and rescues, of sailors' prayers carried on the wind. In winter, icy spray cloaks the lighthouse in shimmering frost, while summer brings crowds who come to feel the pulse of history underfoot. The nearby Fort Williams Park invites you to wander through old stone walls, where echoes of soldiers linger in the breeze. Here, nature and history entwine. Seagulls wheel overhead, their cries a wild counterpoint to distant foghorns. Visitors are drawn not just to the view, but to the quiet strength the lighthouse embodies. A reminder that even in the darkest nights, there is light to guide you home. If you come, pause, breathe deep the salt air. Watch the light sweep slowly across the horizon, steady and sure. Portland Head Lighthouse is more than architecture. It is a promise that no matter how wild the sea, there is always a way forward. Curtis Island is a quiet jewel nestled in Casco Bay, a place where the rhythm of tides governs life as it has for centuries. Accessible only by boat, this small island offers a refuge from the clamor of modern life. No cars, no crowds, just a steady pulse of waves lapping against rocky shores and the whisper of wind through ancient spruce. The island's lighthouse, though lesser known than its mainland cousins, stands resolute, a slender white tower watching over fishermen's boats and the occasional kayaker exploring hidden coves. Curtis Island holds stories of generations who have lived in harmony with the sea. Lobstermen still haul their traps with practiced ease, passing down knowledge etched in salt and sweat. The island's forests shelter deer, foxes, and the shy bobcat, while seabirds wheel in lazy circles overhead. Hiking trails wind through mossy paths, leading to vantage points where you can drink in panoramic views of Casco Bay's glittering islands, each one a chapter in Maine's enduring story. Visit in spring to witness the wildflowers carpet the meadows, or in fall when the air turns crisp and the maples blaze with fiery colors. The silence here is not empty. It hums with life, memory, and patience. Travelers come seeking solitude and find a sanctuary. Here, time bends to the quiet, and the ocean's ancient song becomes a balm. Curtis Island invites you to step gently, breathe deeply, and remember the slow, enduring heartbeat of nature's pulse. Casco Bay is a mosaic of islands, each one a quiet story etched by wind and wave. From the mainland, the water stretches wide, a shimmering quilt of blues and greens, dotted with rocky isles and lighthouses standing guard against the Atlantic's restless pulse. Ferries cross the bay like whispered invitations, carrying locals and dreamers alike. The bay's waters have long been a highway for the Penobscot and Wabanaki peoples, whose canoes carved silent paths between islands. Later, European settlers followed, drawn by the promise of fish, timber, and safe harbor. Today, the islands remain sanctuaries of wildness and history. Seal colonies rest on ledges, ospreys nest high in pine tops, and wild blueberries carpet hillsides in summer. Each island offers its own rhythm, from the art colonies on Peaks Island to quiet trails of Great Diamond Island, to the historic forts that whisper tales of wars long past. Casco Bay invites you to slow your breath, to listen to gulls calling across the water, to watch the sun dip low, turning sky and sea to fire. If you visit, leave your worries behind. Step onto a ferry and let the bay's gentle embrace remind you how small you are and how deeply connected. Casco Bay is not just water. It is memory. It is life. It is a song that carries on the tide. The journey through Maine draws to a close, but its echoes linger. In the salt air, the whispering pines, the endless dance of sea and sky. You have walked with tides and trees, with lighthouses and quiet towns, with stories whispered between waves and winds. Maine is not merely a place on a map. It is a feeling, a breath held, a memory stirred, a heart softened by the wild and the familiar. As you carry this journey within, remember, you are the traveler now. And wherever your path leads next, the spirit of this place goes with you, steady, enduring, and true. Until we meet again, let your footsteps be gentle, your eyes open, and your heart wide.